Should be live. You are live. Hello, Elijah. Oh, Amy's here.
What's up, Elijah? Oh, wow.
Hello, Amy. It's great to see the regulars.
Yeah.
Check it out, man. Guys. Nick with Warriors for Life is here. And Eduardo, oh man, there's just so many people. Elijah gets the bonus there, and I will make him part of our. Can you get lower in the screen at all a little bit so we're even? Yeah, cool. And all right, pretty good.
Okay.
All right, that's pretty good. I'll even up like this.
All right.
Yes, I know it's been a while, huh? Okay, so Elijah gets the thumbnail award for being the first one to comment. And I do believe, Dean got the haircut. I do believe I got an email from a lot of people back for the prizes that I need to send out. I forgot what you picked, Elijah. What did you pick? In the Google Drive. Let's see. Oh, Anthony Ty too as well. I guess I could look at those emails real quick. I will tomorrow and start going to the post office and sending them all out. And it's interesting. City Boy says it has got to be one of the longest off seasons. I feel like it's flying by.
It's kind of both, right?
Kind of both, at the same time.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed how time travels differently, just depending? Like if I go back home to my parents' house, it feels like time slows down. Like every minute is longer than a minute I would spend, say, on here. On here, time goes by fast. So it's kind of interesting. I feel like the off season's going by a little bit fast. But then again, I don't know. Mr. Soft Smoke?
Well, we're only about a month away from the first preseason game, right?
Yeah, and training camp is September 24th, so a month and 6 days. 5 weeks.
Yeah.
We're in training camp.
Yep.
It's
crazy.
Pretty quick for me. I've wanted to do some things that I haven't done yet, so for the channel. So I got to get to that. Chris Carter, Absolutely. I'm a Warrior for Life. Perfect. Speaking of which, we're streaming on Warriors for Life right here. You look at that. If you go on Facebook and you go to that channel, we're streaming there as well. Thank you to Nick of Warriors for Life because he has an audience that is just like Let's Go Warriors on YouTube. And so it makes perfect sense. But yeah, Dean, you're looking
great.
Like you're looking not 10, not 15. You're looking 20 years younger, man.
Man, people keep saying that, but that means I look like I'm 6 years old, man. You know?
Oh man. Okay. Then you look like you're 15.
I'll take 10.
So you're 11.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. What shall we talk about first? I think we should just talk about the schedule because there's a lot we can talk about. And I know you mentioned that there's a lot to talk about, and I'm thinking, well, I could talk about the schedule and maybe Draymond's extension and JP and Wiggins' extension thing and the roster. But other than that, I guess that can drag on for a bit.
And the young guy, the rookies too, I think.
Yeah. So what did you have in mind to talk about besides the schedule?
Well, I think Jordan Poole is going to be a pretty big discussion just in terms of, how he's used, the contract and everything like that. I mean,
yep.
you know, some of the things that you listed, yeah, we can go pretty in depth on like Draymond's contract extension. You know, we could go for quite some time on that. And then, you know, one of my favorite things to do is just try to put together like how I think the roster is going to function, what the strengths are and the differences, and even some of the things that we're going to have to work on compared to last year. You know, and I think we also ought to talk a little bit about, not too in depth for each one, but a little bit about the competition, especially in the West. You know, and where the, you know, where our challengers are going to be for defending the title. But yeah, there's so much that's happened. I'm sure we'll be reminded of something as we go along.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone, please chime in if you want to talk about something.
Absolutely,
that's what we're here for. And I just wanted to say that it's a great feeling to be here in front of all you guys once again, just to talk about anything Warriors. And
absolutely,
honestly, it's been a rough start to the summer for me. Some of you already know, it's like I'm dealing with some stuff that is you could say, well, let's say it's caused some mild depression on my part every now and then. So I have someone close to me who's going through some medical issues, and I didn't feel like coming onto the live stream at all up until this point. Ever since the last time we were on, where was Steph was on the ESPYs. So ever since then,
yeah.
Just weird how the timing. It's ironic because if something like this had happened to me now would be the perfect time, because there's nothing else really going on in the Warriors pipeline. So I'm grateful for that. But lately, I just got to say, first of all, it's great to be back on here with all of you guys. There's 50 concurrent right now. You know, seeing the regulars, yourself, seeing Nick, Warriors for Life on here. Anthony, Elijah, Amy, Bopley right now. So I've, in trying to dig myself out of some holes lately, I've been doing a lot of like research on staying positive and things like that. And man, I feel like I'm a different person than even a week ago. I've learned so much, and it's great. The things that I've learned is that the negative thoughts and the general feeling out there in our day and our society, this era of not feeling like you're good enough, it's like that is really pervasive out there, I've found. And having those kind of like negative thoughts actually has, like, through like quantum physics and what they call epigenetics, it has you know, with quantum physics, everything's about waves and energies, right? Rather than like particles and atoms and, you know, stuff like that. So what I've learned is that it has a physical effect on your cells and your production of proteins and stuff. And that just reinforced what we do here, which is to stick more to the positive side of things and the appreciation of the Golden State Warriors. But man, I've learned so much, but it also reinforced just what we're doing. So when I hit up Dean, guys, when I hit up Dean and he hit me back and was just so enthusiastic to get back here in front of you guys, that lifted me up. And I just, thanks, man. Like, sometimes you need that extra push to get back out here.
Well, it was the same for me, honestly, Rich. You know, I was struggling a little bit as well. at the beginning of the summer, just like you. And I think that this community that we have here makes me so like excited that obviously basketball is great and the Warriors are fun and everything, but it's really wonderful being around people who are like pushing together for something that's, really, really beneficial. I feel, obviously watching this team and the players on the Warriors, those guys are great philosophers and role models and heroes and everything. And then coming on here and being able to chat with people like our regulars and you, Rich, and new people who are also looking for that, kind of calm, fun, positive, we have kind of a little bit of like a kickback atmosphere, just hang out and we'll have a good time and be cool with everybody. It's just wonderful having this together. I feel like, I responded enthusiastically and positively, not just only because I was happy, but also because I was hurting a little bit. I needed it too, man. So you reaching out to me, like, I feel the same way, honestly.
Cool, man. All right, so
yes, sir.
Let's go ahead and get with it. And
let's talk basketball.
If you're able to, Dean, I will look at the comments. I am going to copy and paste because we're going to do more giveaways, and then whoever wins the giveaway tonight is lucky that I have upped my game on the giveaway. I am ready.
Better stay positive out there, then.
Ready to go out to the post office and mail some stuff. I've never been more ready for that. So, and for everyone else has been waiting since April to get there. Aside from Alex, Fabio, and I forgot the third guy's name, and then Roland, and maybe one other person has gotten their prize already. Everybody else is waiting for me to mail it out. So, and those who are waiting know that from April to June, I just finally said, okay, I can't. I can't. This is overwhelming. I have to wait until the off season. But then, like I said, had all those person close to me going through the medical issues, just in and out of mild depression, I would call it. It's just been really tough. But now it's like, okay, I finally turned the corner on that. So, if you are able to go into the comments and see if people are talking about or asking questions about the schedule, I will try to do that as well. So that's also what we're doing in the comments. So go ahead. I'm going to let you lead a lot of these discussions. Go ahead with the schedule.
Well, absolutely. Yes, sir. Bopley mentioned Memphis, which is the Christmas Day game.
Yes.
I believe. I think it's kind of the primetime one too. I think it's on at 7 Eastern, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 8. So
right. I think it's 5 o'clock Pacific.
Right. So it's 8 Eastern, I think. They're 3 hours ahead. That I think that kind of, well, first and foremost, the schedule is something that the NBA releases to show you kind of a little bit what they're valuing. Unless it's the Knicks, then it's just because they're in MSG and they're the Knicks. But most of the other teams are on there, like, because sometimes it's not just star power, but it's like what matchups are meaningful. I think the fact that the Warriors aren't playing like the Celtics on Christmas Day, they're playing the Grizzlies. I think that kind of says something about the kind of interest level in that Western Conference rivalry between the young, brash, up and coming Grizzlies and the grizzled old, Warriors, and kind of also maybe the young guns on both teams, like the bench. I think that it's going to be just an awesome game, hopefully, and it's certainly, I think the Warriors were kind of like, all right, you're just talking a lot of trash when you beat us in the playing game, and that was one game. But throughout last season, the Grizzlies were our most intense opponent throughout the entirety of the season, along with the Celtics. And I think just like the Warriors took the Suns game on Christmas last year super seriously, tried to send a message, I think it'll be the exact same thing this year. Whether we win or lose, I think they're going to take that one very, very seriously.
They meaning Memphis?
Both teams, but I think the Warriors will take that very seriously, assuming Memphis is where we think they are going to be high up in the standings and everything like that. But
I'll tell you this.
Some games.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. No, please go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say when the schedule came out, and I think this is just a symptom of Twitter. I would see a lot of replies or people that have a huge following of Warriors fans just kind of dismiss a lot of opponents. And I don't know if I can't tell if they're kidding or not. I'm thinking kind of like the one that I'm thinking of probably isn't. That I really do have some fear for the Grizzlies because they're going to be hungry. We have to assume Ja's going to be 100% healthy. This is a young team that, I don't know. I just have way more respect for the Grizzlies than I think a lot of Warriors Twitter does. And I don't know. How do you feel about the Grizzlies? I think they're up and coming, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, well, you think Ja very nearly hit that left-handed layup to win game one, and they won game two, right? So it's pretty surprising that series didn't go to 7.
Well, because
we got kind of
Ja got injured, so that.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. That Grizzlies team I think they lost the final 3 games they played without Ja, but they had already secured their seed. While they were still really competitive, they were 20-2. Which is like a 74.5 win season if they play that without Ja Morant. So we were down, as we were down with all our Western Conference opponents. We were down 1-3 in the regular season, record wise, against all of them. But the Grizzlies really, they weren't. They also didn't have much playoff experience. They won. That group won the play-in tournament against us, and then won one game against the Jazz the year before that. And other than that, most of the dudes on the team hadn't had a lot of playoff experience. And now they're coming in thinking we went toe-to-toe against the team that won the championship, and we're not old or none of us are aging to like out of our prime. We're all aging into our prime, and we've got more experience. And even if the Warriors are still better, if they think, well, only the champions are a better team than us, that's still going to make them incredibly dangerous for the rest of the league. They lost Anthony Melton, Kyle Anderson, and someone said that Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to be out. Did you say he might come back around December or something? It'll be a little different. But
why don't I look at that? Foot and ankles consultant. 6 to 8 weeks. So if you add 6 to 8 weeks to, I usually tell patients a bone takes a minimum of 6 to 8 weeks to heal. Sometimes it takes even as long as 3 months. And who's he?
And then he'd have to train back into shape and add a little bit extra time, probably.
A Memphis beat writer is that's quoting somebody, Jung. I don't know who Jung is. But anyway, so I guess if you go 8 weeks, then you're hitting December from October.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So they will look a little different, but I just feel like that team it's not gonna be disastrous for them. Any of that. I think the Grizzlies are going to be really good. The other people are bringing up the Timberwolves as well. Obviously, the humongous league-altering trade for Rudy Gobert with 4 first-round picks and the guy they took with their first-round pick in that draft. So it looks like Karl Anthony Towns probably is going to be playing a lot of 4, which makes him really, really tall. Because that's probably Anthony Edwards at the 2, and
that's interesting. Yeah,
maybe D'Lo at the 1. That's a pretty big lineup.
Yeah, yeah, that should be fun to watch.
Kind of get
Rudy at the 5. Wow.
Yeah, styles make fights.
What was that?
So I said styles make fights, so it might be kind of our small ball system versus them trying to bully us a little bit with size too. So that's
Pelicans.
That's pretty intriguing. I think someone else mentioned the Clippers. If Kawhi is healthy, they might be the biggest. Sorry, if Kawhi is healthy, they might be.
They are so deep. Like, look at this roster.
It's just 6'8", athletic wings who can shoot everywhere.
Robert Covington down here.
Yeah,
and then John Wall.
Yeah,
Reggie Jackson. Wow, Nick Batum.
I think they still have one of the Morris twins on there. I think Nick Batum's on there still.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be a really good team.
Man is like the 10th guy.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane. You mentioned Reggie Jackson, right?
Terrence Mann and Lou Dort. I love guys like that are just sort of linebacker built. Kind of PJ Tucker.
Yeah. Yes. Or Jay Crowder a little bit. I think of him too.
Yeah.
That dude's built like a tank, man. Yeah. Okay. But they'll be and obviously, good owner. Jerry West is in the front office. Ty Lue, like they're gonna be massive competition for us. I think that's gonna be a really difficult team to handle if they're healthy.
Yeah.
So, I guess those are and then you still have the Suns too.
And Anthony's saying the Pelicans, man.
The Pelicans, you're right, with Zion coming back.
Zion. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
League Pass
and CJ.
League Pass is going to have its, all-time return on investment this year.
Yeah, really.
Who are you saying? Who else on the Pelicans?
CJ McCollum.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, there's going to be a lot of great teams in the West, and it almost is. It's almost ironic. I'm not sure if that's quite the term, but a lot of the best teams kind of ended up with a lot of depth and young players. There was some team that was kind of planning on some bridge to the future or something, and everybody was making fun of them. And yet, the West seems to have shook out that way, no matter what.
Huh.
Can you imagine if we didn't have any of our young players? If we had traded them all for no offense to him, but for Bradley Beal, like,
right, yeah.
The depth is what is making the teams around the NBA really dangerous, I think.
I think we've already been through that. Go and get KD and then fill out the rest with your, Quinn Cooks and Jordan Bells, and we've been through that. And to go through that again, that would be tough. I don't know that we can pivot that easily for that, because you kind of have to be ready for that as well. For a big guy to come in, a big name to come in like that, because then your roster is structured a little differently.
Absolutely. And when KD came here, he and Steph are both like, what, 28? I think Dre and Clay were 26.
Oops.
You know, that's a lot different than 34 and 32. You know, throughout the course of a season. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, it looks like Rebel Sound's got a new name. Black Nation. What's up?
Oh, cool. Oh, okay. Hey. Clips on paper definitely looks the best, but feels like they play more cohesively.
Who
Yeah.
plays more cohesively?
The Clippers play more cohesively without all their stars, which actually has been evidenced the last couple of playoffs. Did they have Kawhi and PG in the bubble? I can't remember, but they didn't have somebody. It felt like
Kawhi and PG were both there in the bubble, yeah.
All right. Well, well, definitely last year without Kawhi. But then I don't know. They've always played tough. They've been a tough out.
Yeah. I mean, they might. I would have, if Kawhi had been healthy for the series, I think that I would have bet on them to beat the Suns back in 21 in the Western Conference Finals. They didn't play a game. I think they went to 5 or 6, something like that.
And we also got
they did blow a 3-1 lead.
Lakers and Nuggets, as Elijah's saying. So, what's your take on
Nuggets? That's Nuggets? Right. If Jamal Murray and MPJ are back, they're crazy too. Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny how a lot of teams are just getting back from injuries. Just had a wave of injuries.
Yeah, well, it felt like a lot of those injuries were kind of disproportionately on the West too. I mean, the real long, like ACL, back surgery type injuries. It felt like a lot of them were in the Western Conference teams.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of these salary cap tables.
Yes, sir.
I like to look at when I look at the rosters. So let's look at Nuggets, and then we'll look at Lakers. Okay, so Denver's got obviously 2-time MVP, and then Aaron Gordon. Oh, and KCP.
Aaron Gordon, right.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And Bruce Brown.
Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's wife took a picture of the table setting from Draymond Green's wedding, which we'll talk about later. Wow. Yep. That was, man, Draymond spared no expense on that wedding. But yeah, they're all, I think, pretty sure KCP's with Clutch, and he is now with the Nuggets. And that's a pretty good starting 5 right there, guys. That's impressive.
Bruce Brown was a former Nets player, right?
Yep. Utility guy.
And then they have Ish Smith, Jeff Green, DeAndre Jordan,
Terrence Mann mold, the Lou Dort mold, kind of the little guy that does all the glue stuff and doesn't really score, doesn't really complain, plays hard defense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, Bruce Brown was like, he was like, I hate to just touch on to too many other subjects, but he was like the Nets, third best player this past playoffs. Unfortunately, I mean, good for him, but at the same time, he also managed to obviously get a $6.5-7 million deal out of that.
Yeah,
but it goes back to, I felt the guy that really is explaining what KD is doing right now, I think, is Evan Turner on the Andre Point Forward podcast. Basically, Evan Turner was like, here's what I think is going on with KD. Is like he's sitting, he's looking around and he's, just thinking, man, I got to go out and score 50 every day in the playoffs with this group the way it is. Like, Ben Simmons hasn't played. Kyrie is a maybe. We don't really know what's going on with him, but it looks like we won't have COVID issues that much, so maybe he'll play more. But it's all kind of a mystery. Very, very hard to predict. So hard to predict.
Yeah,
aren't even on Christmas, And so KD,
that's crazy. Yeah.
According to Evan Turner's theory, which I am all in on, is that KD's sitting there just frustrated. He's like, man, I got to score 50 for us to have a chance here. Like, come on, let's do something.
Absolutely.
What's going on? But anyways,
and
there.
The last couple of years. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I was just going to say the last couple of years for the Nets, it feels like any kind of important stretch they had, sometimes even in the regular season, KD was playing like 45 minutes a game.
Yeah.
Putting 45 a game during the regular season on a surgically reconstructed Achilles is something that I would be a little concerned about.
Yeah, so I think
that's not a plan for you to keep him healthy and contending for championships in year 20.
Yeah, I think we're just seeing KD's frustration, and I tend to think that maybe somebody not rooting for Kevin Durant leaked the information that he met with Joe Tsai, or whatever his name is, Tsai. I think his name's Tsai, in London, and said that, fire Nash and Marks or trade me. And I just think only someone who's not rooting for KD, whoever it may be, only someone who's not rooting for KD would leak that out, because that's not a good look on KD.
That's interesting. You say that, because I do think someone leaked out something about KD, but I didn't think it was that. I thought that was Kevin Durant maybe sort of letting it be known that there's this ultimatum, and because
he's really serious about it. Okay.
He wants to be traded. Also, that he knows that Joe Tsai, is that what you said?
Tsai. Yeah, Joe Tsai.
Yeah. Would have to back his coach and GM, considering they're actually under contract and not asking to be traded. Look, he's supporting them over me. The thing I think got leaked from someone who didn't want KD personally, is the whole retirement stuff or something like that, just to make him look.
Yeah, that's been explained already. Mark Stein.
Oh, what was the explanation?
Mark Stein tweeted out that it was this whole big thing, and then the aggregators just took that part. So, and then KD went out and tweeted that it'd be ridiculous to think that he wants to retire. So I think that one was a nice try, aggregators. That one didn't work.
I think someone was trying to drive down his public perception, though, maybe. Right? Because you think about this, if the word's out there that if he's on a team he doesn't like and he'll just retire, that kind of dries up some of the trade market. And if the Nets' goal is to make it so difficult that he just says, I give up, let's just play one more season.
No, I think that was a case of
you don't think so?
The aggregator aggregating Mark Stein incorrectly. And it was a slow news day, so they had to come up with, he might retire, blah, 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 according to Mark Stein. And then Mark Stein's like, wait a minute. But anyway, so we talked a little bit about the Nets, probably too much about the Nets. Let's go back to the Lakers now.
Right, yeah.
So they got to figure out their situation if they're going to stick with Russ Westbrook here. Yeah, we'll see. You just never know.
What did you think about
LeBron?
What did you think about that extension LeBron signed?
Yeah.
I think it was 2 years plus a player option for the third.
It lines up with his son Bronny getting drafted, and
that's right.
30 years is a player option. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Should be interesting. That one, bust out the popcorn and watch the world burn, or whatever you want to call it. That's one of the rare times.
Rain or something. Yeah.
Let's just see what happens. Yeah. This should be fun, Let's see.
I am surprised though with how bad the Lakers were that they got him to commit to because that is 2 years probably that he's going to be there. I don't think LeBron's going to get traded anywhere. So,
right. Yep. I don't think.
Other than that, man, I honestly, if they don't get where they're expecting to go, I think there might even be, forget Westbrook. There might be some Anthony Davis stuff going on if they're not meeting expectations. I'm talking to some Lakers people around me. They're kind of open to it if they get the right return for it, which is something that would have been impossible even a year ago to think that way. Or maybe not a year ago, but coming off that championship in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be, if there's something going on with an Anthony Davis trade, that's a major tectonic plate shifting in the NBA if anything like that happens, Yeah. So we'll there's see. Kind of tension. Yeah, there's tension from the Donovan Mitchell thing, from Kevin Durant, and from whatever it is the Lakers are going to do to not be the 10th seed in the West again.
Right.
Yeah.
Bruce is bringing up the Mavericks. Yeah, I'm just gonna. I always hit up my Lakers pals to get their latest take on the Lakers, and it's too early to really. There's not enough information yet. Now with So right here, Bruce is saying they will miss Brunson. Who did they get? Oh, they got Christian Wood. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting pickup. So,
yeah, I like Christian Wood in terms of his offense. Back.
He's, you know, Spencer Dinwiddie, obviously. Interesting. They got JaVale. Yeah.
JaVale McGee, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. Well,
Luka's just like LeBron. You never know, man. You can't count him out.
Yeah, he's a one-man wrecking crew.
Yeah.
Against the right. Just the fact that they were able to take out the Suns and they hadn't ever played in the second round before. That's that tells you something about. Yeah. And also Dallas just there's something kind of calm that's a little bit unique about them that I've noticed. Even the fans and the culture in Dallas, it's very focused but not crazy. I think having that kind of backing does something for the psychology of a team. Whether it's the crazy Oracle or United Center crowds or whether it's that kind of laid back deal. It's what you don't want, no offense, is it is performing poorly in Philadelphia where the fans will just attack you. They'll try and they really don't care. If you're not playing well, it doesn't matter if you're on the Philly team or not. And which is incredibly, passionate from the fans, but it also, I think, makes it a little bit difficult for teams to perform, worrying if their own fans are going to boo them. I don't think Dallas has that. It might not be that big of a deal, but it's just something I noticed throughout the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, Mavs fan base is pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not bad for Texas.
Okay. What else did we have in the chat here? So Dallas is interesting. Well, we'll come back to Jordan Poole and Wiggins and Draymond's extension. Let's see. Let's see. So yeah, that's a pretty deep field, right? We just talked about Let's see. We talked about the Grizzlies, Timberwolves, Clippers, Suns, Pelicans, Nuggets, Lakers, and Mavs. Add the Warriors.
Yep.
That's 9 teams that are, in a regular season matchup. Like if you're in the East, any of those 9 teams, you're like, crap. We got a game plan for these guys. So wow, that's a pretty powerful West. That's impressive. I like it.
I think we also might need to throw the Trailblazers in there too a little bit.
Oh, okay. What do we got here?
With Dame being healthy, adding Gary Payton, I would just start Gary Payton as a starting 2 guard right next to Dame. That's a pretty good backcourt right there. I'm gonna miss Gary Payton a second too.
Let's see. So they've got Anthony Simons.
They got Jeremy Grant. That's right.
And Jeremy Grant. So Payton would come off the bench because he's like a 2-4, a 2 or a 4. And you got Jeremy Grant at the 3. Anthony Simons a legit 2. So I think you bring GP off. But I don't know. I don't really know this team. Who plays the 4. But I'll agree with you on that. Oh, I wanted to add in one little tidbit on Gary Payton. Guess who Gary Payton took as his date to Draymond's wedding?
I don't know. Let the people in the comments. Let's see if anybody's got a good answer for that.
Yeah. Anybody know? It's actually in our video that I posted recently, and why don't I just pull up that? Hold on, youtube.com. Let's go Warriors. Let me find that link. Throw it in the comments. There it is. Draymond's wedding part 2 of 2. I did 2 of them because there was so much content. Yance is correct. Peyton took his mom to the wedding, which is the coolest thing. I think she's already tight with everybody there, but pretty cool. Pretty cool of him to do that. Okay.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He's a good dude. I mean, he has to be a video coordinator for us, man. That's pretty selfless.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about Jordan, Poole, and stuff. Let's see. Yeah, Anthony, going back to the Mavs here, you can see that on the Slovenian team. I tuned into the overtime of Slovenia against Serbia yesterday, and he plays just like he plays on Dallas. Like you would expect, like, okay, Luka, you're like the best player on the court, not named Jokic. You're one of the 2 best players. You could take every shot if you wanted to, but it was just passing it off every single time to guys, and guys were confident on Slovenia. They just love to be part of that team and everything. So anyways, OKC Thunder is an intriguing watch. Anytime you've got freak of nature like Chet Holmgren and then all these other guys. Let's look at their roster, because their rosters is like pretty insane group of young phenoms.
Yeah, really.
They got Kemba Walker, Chet Holmgren, Josh Giddey.
Although I think that might be Kemba Walker's contract.
That might be.
Didn't he get bought out?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, and then JaMychal got bought out as well. That's why he's still on there.
But your man Dort, I believe, is still on the team.
Dort, they got two Jalen Williams.
Yeah, right.
Talented. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. They got Giddey as well.
Yeah, Giddey.
The Australian kid. He's pretty good. And then Shea, I mean, I kind of hope I kind of hope it either works out or he's on a better team, because I watched him here on the Clippers a little bit early in his career, and he was really, really good, man. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's.
I did not realize he makes $30 million. Wow.
I think he just signed that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or so. Yeah. But even in the East, there are teams that aren't going to be that competitive necessarily, but there aren't those teams that are painful to watch.
Exactly.
At least that I've seen. And it wasn't like that last year either. We're just in a super, super deep competitive era in the NBA right now, I think.
Yep.
Which is great. That's
The owners don't want to expand though. But we are super deep.
I think if you did Seattle and Vegas, like I've heard a lot of talk of, that would not what happened in the 70s and I think also kind of in the 90s was it sort of over expanded. They did too many teams and cities at once, and it just thinned out the talent a lot.
Yeah, because
I think just 2 teams.
Yeah, I agree. They did Vancouver, which became the Memphis Grizzlies. They did Orlando Magic, Miami Heat, and who else?
The Bobcats back then.
Bobcats, thank you.
Hornets. Yeah.
Yep. Charlotte Hornets. So that was too much of an expansion. And it feels like they're making up for it right now. That was too quick, so let's just stall on the expansion. But I think we are kind of ready to go Seattle.
Yeah, I think so. That's 34 slots, 30 full NBA contracts, more players in the league, and obviously 4 more. Is that right?
4 more 2 ways. Yeah,
maybe 4 more draft picks.
Oh, right.
1 first and 1 second round per team. I think if you kind of built it up a little bit and sort of gave teams time to prepare, because there probably would be an expansion draft or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you fill out the teams with, along with draft picks and everything. I think if you handle that correctly, we can add those 2, and Vegas is cool. I really think the Sonics should be back in the NBA. That's a great city. It's a great fan base. You don't need any history. You don't need to encourage the fans to get excited.
And
it would probably put the Grizzlies in the East.
Move Memphis to the East.
Yep, which is a little bit of a shame for us. Although we might get to play them in the finals, man. Can you imagine?
Anyway,
can you imagine playing the Grizzlies in the finals?
Yeah,
that'd be great.
That'd be great. What do we want to talk about next? Because somebody wants to talk about Jordan Poole to the Magic because it's been trending on YouTube. I guess we should talk about that. Okay, fine.
Yep.
Hold on while I try and estimate this. So just now we talked about expansion. Who did we talk about after the Blazers? I forget.
I mentioned the Kings and the Thunder and some of those type of teams.
Okay. So now we are at the 48-minute mark already.
You played a game.
Cool. Extension. All right, so that behooves us to pull up the Warriors' salaries. So hoop types. I've got it already here. Okay, here's what we're looking at. So we're talking 2024 and onward. Yeah, I think you just pay him.
Jordan?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, here's the biggest thing for me.
It's going to be like $28 million. Brunson area. Jalen Brunson.
Mm-hmm. The reason why I'm so against trading Jordan Poole and letting him go is for two main reasons. And the first one's just when I hear that a young guy who was that bad, who was having all the NBA attacking his team and everyone kind of trashing him a little bit in his rookie year, and I heard how good his work ethic was then. And then once he gained success, I still hear the same work ethic. That just makes me think, you know, I can trust Jordan Poole because I can trust the work.
Yeah.
You can't say that about every NBA player. Jordan Poole absolutely loves basketball too. There's no question. The second thing is that it doesn't really matter how good Jonathan Kuminga or James Wiseman or Moses Moody are. If we want to run Kerr's system, we're probably going to need a combo guard who can pass, dribble, shoot off the ball, shoot live dribble, and get into the lane and just be able to run. I'm not saying that he's going to be Steph or anything like that, but you can put him in the Steph position so that you can keep running that same offense with Curry out there, or especially when Curry's on the bench. I don't think there's anybody else on the team, no matter how good they get, who will be able to run that offense from that playmaking Curry type position. Again, I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Steph, but you can replicate the offense most easily, I think, when you have a guy like Jordan Poole. So it'll probably be more expensive to try and find a different replacement for him who's on that level, who can maybe even be a legitimate starter, just offensive engine type player who you can trust, has hard work, and who has a championship. That, like, those guys aren't around. They're not that easy to find, and we have a guy that is always probably going to be cheaper for us than trying to find a replacement for him. So I'm personally totally against letting Jordan Poole go. I think we need to keep him.
Okay, yeah. As far as Steph Curry taking a discount, whatever, I mean, the first guy is going to be Clay, because you see here his contract will expire in summer of 2024, 2 more years, and then, man, 43 million, so we'll see. It's hard to look ahead too much. It's hard to look
blue
ahead
for Draymond
beyond the next summer.
That's a player option, right? For Draymond, I would imagine.
Oh, Draymond, yeah.
Yeah. So
next summer you've got Wiggins, potentially Draymond, depending. You've also got the network deal coming up, I believe in 2025, but I guess I should look that up. Next time you go in depth in something, I'll go look that up. And then collective bargaining agreement itself, maybe that's 2025.
I think the CBA and those contracts are connected because it's splitting the different.
NBA TV contract expires. Actually, I should just do that search in this window. So NBA TV contract expires. Oh man, Safari doesn't bring up that stuff. Okay, after the 2024-25 season. So, oops, I got another Hoops Hype window here. After let me get rid of these windows, man.
So it's 2026, basically. That the 26th season is the season that. So wait, that's Steph's final year of his contract.
Yeah. So the CBA will balloon in, I think, the summer of 26. But I'm not sure. And I want to just say it's so far into the future. I mean, it's not, but in terms of like who can predict how you fill in these zeros over here? Who can do that?
Yeah.
It's like I don't get paid enough to do that. That's what's his name's job. I forgot his name. There's a guy that the Warriors hired last summer to take this burden off of David Kelly's shoulders, and he's in charge of all the salary cap stuff. He's the CBA expert. They probably pay him, a fat 6-figure salary to figure all this stuff out. And so all I can say is that we talked about Poole in terms of how on the court and basketball wise, it'd be crazy. It'd be crazy to let him walk. So we're playing the game of basketball. So I mean, I think that weighs very heavily in terms of. So I would like to just blow the Orlando Magic rumor to smithereens. You know where that comes from? Again, you guys have to understand.
The Magic front office?
No, it comes from, first of all, let me do the timestamp on this. We're at the 56 mark. Wow, we talked about Jordan Poole for 7 minutes. Good job.
Yeah.
Why there's a JP rumor to Orlando? It comes, first of all, from this one guy. I respect him a lot, writer named Sean Devaney. He has a lot of contacts lately. So his outfit is heavy.com. They get a lot of traffic. They get a ton of traffic from Google Chrome. So anytime you just go to Chrome, you don't even have to click on anything. It comes up for you. Like a new window comes up. That's Google's genius of pushing all this content to you. But you guys drink it like Kool-Aid. It frustrates the hell out of me. So this guy, Sean, has a lot of contacts. It's the summer. He's got a gun pointed to his head. Is you're getting paid every 2 weeks, salary and benefits. You better come up with some content. But he does a good job because he constantly talks to GMs. So the actual news for this, and I don't know any other way to teach everybody where this content comes from. But I think the first step is awareness, that it gets, cultivated a little bit. It gets, what's the word? But anyways, it gets curated. It gets curated for the general audience. And so for the general audience that doesn't know how important Jordan Poole is in the Steve Kerr system, you're going to look at that article and you're going to say, oh, so this other GM that's not with the Warriors, not with the Magic, he's saying that if the Warriors don't extend Jordan Poole, which is now you got to make a whole bunch of assumptions to get to the argument that he's making. If the Warriors, if the Warriors get to a point where Jordan Poole is looking around for another team to hop onto, then the Orlando Magic would make a lot of sense. I mean, look at all of those ifs that need to be checked off for that to actually happen. So, I mean, and then you couple that with the voracity of NBA fandom, always looking for, the moment. How long did it take for some kid out there on Instagram to Photoshop an Orlando Magic jersey onto Jordan Poole? Everybody loves that stuff. They love it. They eat it up. It's fun to talk about. We're talking about it right now. I mean, you and I just we are so in depth with the Warriors. We know that it's probably not going to happen. But then we also know that there's a lot of steps that have to happen for that to happen. So first of all, you look at the salary cap. So Jordan Poole, his the extension talks can start to occur on whatever date it is. I think October 1st or something coming up. We can start.
Yeah, it's right before the season starts, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many variables that it kind of makes it fun to talk about. So, you can
the other thing too.
dream up any scenario.
Sorry, go.
But go ahead.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing too is that because Poole's coming off his rookie scale, the Warriors might be willing to just not offer him anything and see what he gets, and then what's it called? It's match the offer sheet, basically.
Restricted free agent.
Yeah, he's a restricted free agent.
That's what the Suns did with DeAndre.
That's exactly what the Suns did. Yeah.
Well,
so if you want the max, you go get it for another team, and then we can sign you. I'm not sure I would do that. Just because I like Jordan Poole so much. Someone's bringing up that he's not a great defender, which I agree. He wasn't a great defender, but again, just the work ethic and the I don't know, just he just exudes a love of basketball. And when I say that, everybody who's in the NBA puts an incredible amount of time into basketball, but a lot of these guys, like, it's not their favorite thing in the world. Guys like Kobe, Jordan, Steph, like, basketball is their only thing, and that maybe not in their life, but like they really, really, really love the game. And I get that feeling from Jordan. I just think, I don't see any reason why he can't be a good defender. I don't. He's quick. He's pretty strong. He's got good hands, it seems.
Yeah, he's getting
better. We watched him get better throughout the course of the finals, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's
right? I think he improved.
Oh, he definitely did. I have a video, my only X's and O's video of the last, I don't do a lot of those, but I felt it was necessary after I criticized JP a lot for his lack of, everybody on the Grizzlies was turning the corner on him. And then, so now you got the maybe it was Celtics, I forget, but it's on our channel. And I criticized him for that, but then he improved. And we talked about that even during the live streams of the games with the Celtics. So anyways,
that's right.
Oh God.
And it's not uncommon for offensive players like that, to struggle a little bit defensively for whatever reason. Just like great defenders who can stay in front of everyone can't sometimes cross somebody over. Sorry, I'm moving my camera. But I just
gosh.
I don't know. I just think that in terms of all the salaries and contracts and everything adding up to a huge luxury tax bill, and because of the team we had and the team that we've had, you also have to throw in not just the luxury tax, but the repeater tax, which is, I think, on top of everything, $1 for $1 or something like that. So it ends up being like $7 per dollar. If you have a salary table of 250 before tax, that's, or whatever, 150 before tax, that's a lot of money. But there's nothing legally preventing us from keeping these players. We're not super desperate for someone to come to the team. We just need to find a way to keep the guys that we have in a lot of ways. Somebody brought up Wiggins.
Well, before you go on to Wiggins, with JP, the other thing is that I always feel like the salaries just keep going up and up every single year. So if you don't want to pay Jordan Poole as much later, then sign him now.
Right.
So I think there's that. And especially when you add the new TV contract coming up, and who's the next Jalen Brunson next season? Like, then another two guard will, make a pop in the market, and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, we should have signed JP for $27.5 million last last October 1st.
And not 38.8. Yeah.
So that's
exactly
another reason to pursue not just JP, but also Wiggins sooner rather than later. But we don't really know. And then the other thing is, the other variable that you have to consider as well, something could happen, God forbid, knock on wood, the injury thing. People get injured in this league. And so that's a reason to kind of wait it out. And maybe there's got to be an article out there. Maybe there's not. How media isn't as great as it used to be. There should be an article out there that dissected the strategy of the Suns waiting on DeAndre Ayton or not. That's a different position, though. That's the 5, and maybe the 5 was more of a market that is more of in flux and maybe going down. And the other thing is that it just takes one other suitor to set the market price, like the Knicks. The Knicks set the market price on Jalen Brunson, and there you go. That's what it costs.
I mean,
for a good 2-guard.
Yeah, and the other thing is that this obviously is the year where we do have all these guys, and we are able to afford all these guys together. And we're talking about all this in the future without knowing, what Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, James Wiseman, Dante DiVincenzo, guys like that, kind of younger guys like that, how they're going to perform in the playoffs. Because basically we have 6 guys who really played heavy minutes right now from that championship.
That foundational team. 6. That's what Steve Kerr called it in a summer interview with Tim Kawakami. And I just wanted to say that's some guys they do it naturally. Steve Kerr is like a natural born leader. It's like Obama, You're just Tim Kawakami is just interviewing him, and suddenly Steve Kerr is going to pop out. Oh yeah, we have our foundational 6. He just knows. It's not like, I don't think it was calculated. Maybe it was, but it's almost to a point where it's subconsciously calculated. Like him.
He's just a natural.
Yeah, with Dylan Brooks breaking the code. He later said that he got that from The Wire. And so I went and looked up. I searched YouTube for the point where in The Wire, the guy said he broke the code. I think I found it. But it was just like, this guy, Steve Kerr, man, he's a keeper. Like, for him to say that's our foundational 6, I mean, Bob's got to be sitting there in the background saying, patting his back, good job, Steve. Way to keep JP and Wiggins happy. What a pat on the back, right? And man.
Andre Iguodala is like, hey, man, what the?
Yeah, we haven't even talked about Andre yet.
I haven't heard anything about him. I don't know if he's retired, if he's
from Steve Kerr, which said in the same interview with Kawakami of The Athletic, Steve says, I'm not going to bug Andre one bit. He can take as long as he wants. And I think that this all gets into trust in Steve Kerr and Bob Myers. I think at some point there's so many variables. We talked about it just now. Like, there could be injuries. There could be, somebody else sets a market price. There could be the TV deal, which then affects the CBA salary cap going up, way up, as it did when KD joined and allowed us to have KD back in 2016. All these different factors. Like, oh my gosh. And I don't get paid to figure all this thing. I don't get paid enough to figure out all these things. If I did, I would be working for Bob Myers, right? If I did to read the CBA and go and become the CBA expert, that's happening tomorrow. So what is left?
Well,
left is what
two things too, real quick.
What is left is, in Bob we trust. Just trust Bob, man.
Yes, sir.
All the stuff that we're talking about, we can only talk about as far as how deep we know this team. You just brought up Jordan Poole. I think you could say the same about Wiggins, because you brought up the 6 guys. They proved it in the playoffs. series after series and the most important one in the finals, I think you got to do whatever you can to keep them, but also, I don't know, maybe just, I don't know. I don't even know what you do. Like, what do you do with Wiggins? Do you say, okay, this, and then, year by year player options like KD did in 2017-18? I mean, what does he want? We don't know what he wants. This
is the year where we know that we are good, because we're going to get a ring on the 18th of October, and all these guys are still on the team. So whatever happens, I think you approach this season with two goals, really, which is how good can we get James Wiseman to be, and let's see what happens.
Oh yeah, James.
I did want to bring up something about the salary cap, though, real quick. There are two things. First is that the Players Association rejected smoothing of the spike in 2016, right. So they could get all the money up front.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if that's going to happen again because of the KD signing and something else. I think like the Mozgov contracts and stuff for like 20-something million.
You think the owners would stand pat on something?
The owners already tried to do that, and the players rejected it. But the players might accept it now for like a little bit higher percentage, but like a smoothed out increase rather than just a sudden spike from one salary cap to the next.
Okay.
And the second thing is, I've been hearing some things on podcasts about the NBA lessening the tax impact for paying your own draft picks, which would help us, obviously. It also help a team like OKC or the Jazz coming up.
Right.
So if that happens, if there's less impact for playing your own draft picks, everything we're talking about is flipped on its head. Now we're probably in a pretty advantageous position, because it doesn't really matter. The salary doesn't matter to the owners. It's the tax.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right.
It's the paying double, triple, quadruple on just to the league, and you're getting nothing back.
Yeah, Kawakami, also, to his credit, very knowledgeable guy. He said in a recent tweet, he was like, that's the one thing that I think they should change, is that there should be a cap on the penalties. And so then that gets us into what I've been wanting to talk about, one of these on here, 112 mark, is I think it comes down to really what Lacob is willing to pay. Put yourself in Joe Lacob's shoes, which none of us really can in reality. But all this talk about like Draymond's extension and this, that, LeBron was at the wedding. We'll talk about that in a bit. I do think wherever LeBron goes is a potential out for Draymond as well. I guess it's going to be the Lakers.
Well, he just signed with the Lakers. Yeah.
I mean, Draymond could kind of leverage that as much as he can, but at the end of the day, the market is only going to pay whatever they want to pay. And it's interesting that Mary Babers tweeted out that, hey, this guy's a winner, and they keep throwing money at these kids that haven't done anything. She's absolutely right. And if we were on the playground and we were picking fives, and it was, to save the earth from aliens, we got to play them, pick our five. I'm having Draymond on that team, I'm not.
I'll take Iguodala.
Right. And I'm not putting, Zion Williamson on the team or Cade Cunningham or whatever, right? Chet Holmgren, she's absolutely right. So but she hammers the point home in that Draymond isn't going to get the max because owners don't value that. It's just, they don't value.
Here's the thing.
So that's just how it is. And it's hard to measure the winning, because when Draymond came into the league, I mean, he did win in Michigan State, but it's tough. So, but he can always ask for the max. And I think it's also, I'm like the only guy out there that said, yes, that's fine. And yes, that's fine. And that's okay too. Like everything that's coming out of everybody's mouths is actually okay. Like Draymond saying that, I mean, you got to go back to, you got to envision, how did this news come out? Well, it was Marcus Thompson. He wrote it in his article. So he must have asked Draymond, you know, what are you going to ask for? Are you going to ask for the max? What do you think Draymond would say if you were asked that? Like, you got to say, I want the max. I mean, if we're negotiating through the media, yeah, I want the max. One of my
here's another thing too.
So he had to say that. So it gets written up in an article. So now it's this big gigantic news. I mean, even like my dad drinks that Kool-Aid up, and now he's mad at Draymond. Like, no, there's no reason to be mad at Draymond that he said he wanted a max. But anyway,
here's the other thing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I want to make sure everybody understands this. Draymond, I kind of don't like the word max, because he's not going to get paid $55 million a year. It's like $34 million.
34 million, exactly.
Or averaged out to that somewhere.
Yeah.
If the spike goes up and he's getting paid $34 million, he'll probably be around a lot of other solid power forwards. You know, that would take him to line him up with Steph, who, you know, is 6'2", and we're going to pay him $60 million a year when he's 38. So Draymond getting 34 or whatever, 30, or 40 or something at that point in time it's less of a percentage of the cap at that point anyway. Mm-hmm. And it's also just like, this isn't some dude, you know, who got 20 points a game at one point. This is like the championship leader and engine of our defense, and like, in some ways, kind of the second most important player to making sure the offense works the way that it works, with his playmaking, screening, rebounding, fast break, everything like that. Draymond, you know, I would like all my star players to take cuts and say, oh, we don't care, and let's buy, instead of taking a cut, let's say we're buying salary cap space that we can sign everybody. But that's just not the NBA, you know. Most of these guys, that's not, you know, it's very difficult for them to think about not trying to be at the top of everything, because had they thought that way, they probably wouldn't have made it to the NBA, right? Do you think Draymond could have made it with someone saying, you can't shoot? Okay, I'm going to be the best at this, though. Like, it's so, I get that it's kind of just ingrained in them to do that. And it's also like, wait a minute, the Warriors are worth $5 billion about, if you sell it, right?
Oh,
and,
yeah, whatever.
And you have your own personal wealth, you have your own companies, you have other owners backing you up, and you want me to take a pay cut? Like, so there's that to it as well. But it's Draymond, man. It's Draymond Green, you know.
And the whole, you know, what are the Warriors worth? That's all. That's just this. That used to be to sell Forbes magazines. Now it's to drive clicks to Forbes. So you'll read other things from Forbes. But I come from venture capital. I was one of my careers in the past. Believe me, this valuation stuff doesn't really mean anything until someone actually sells their team for whatever, you know, whatever price it is. But speaking of which, with the whole Lacob thing,
well, you can also take out loans on that, though, can't you? Or like you can like borrow whatever on the value of the franchise.
Oh yeah,
too.
And I'll probably never experience that. So
I hope you do, Rich. We'll get Let's Go Warriors there.
But I think one piece that's missing is that a lot of it is going to come down to, I mean, basically, someone on YouTube should just do a little skit of the future Draymond, Lacob, Bob Myers meeting, because what it really comes down to is how much Draymond can extract from Lacob. And that is what, I mean, duh, right? That's what Andre did when he fleeced, I'm going to say he fleeced Lacob for $16 million a year. He did a good job. He leveraged a comparable from the Sacramento Kings for $16 million a year to get the $16 million with the Warriors. And that's all Draymond has to do. And Iguodala definitely talks to Draymond in the locker room. But Draymond does have some of the best business people behind him. I think people underestimate the business acumen and the power of LeBron and Clutch. What they're doing is groundbreaking, and it really started with LeBron and the idea that he had that, the whole thing about him being the chosen one. I think for everybody else, it probably means, the chosen one of the NBA. But for LeBron, I'm sure he was thinking, no, I'm the chosen one of my community and the NBA, and me being able to make a difference for disadvantaged communities and things like that. And he's doing all these other things in media. And now, Clutch came out of nowhere and now is a powerhouse. They've got, 2/3 of the Lakers are with Clutch. And it's just, it's impressive to me. So when I saw, so in the Draymond wedding, I got another story for you. So I was researching all this Draymond wedding stuff. And one thing that became evident was that they weren't allowing people to film everything. So a lot of the footage was unavailable. The only footage that you could actually see there was no footage of the wedding, which is kind of cool, actually. Like, that part's private. That'll never get out. I'm gonna. They
don't need to
more on our
broadcast
website.
their vows. Yeah.
So I will have this on our website by next week. Just some little tidbits. So there was not a whole lot of footage, but the one thing that they did have, and the one video that did get out, and I'll explain on the website later how that got out, but the one that did get out was right when, I want to say, I'm gonna guess it was a transition moment where they were going from dinner to the concerts. And by the way, they also had Joe and Next. So aside from DaBaby and Roddy Ricch, they also had Joe and Next. For those of you who are into 90s R&B like I am, like, man, that was one epic wedding. So I don't know if I think it was Joe and Next were the first to go on stage before DaBaby. I'm not sure. They don't pay me enough to go investigate that stuff. But right when they made that transition after dinner to go watch the concerts, Draymond and LeBron had a moment. And it was like, wow, I did not know that they were that close. I mean, I knew they were close, but I didn't know they were that close. So believe me, Draymond is going to somehow leverage LeBron and Clutch when it comes time for that meeting with Joe Lacob. And it's just going to really come down to, and I feel bad for Lacob too, because he's got to pay all these luxury taxes, but he also mentioned in his other, man, Kawakami always gets the best interviews. But in his interview with Kawakami, he was the one where Lacob got fined $500,000.
Right.
He said that he didn't think those luxury tax penalties on your own, that ended up being on your own draft picks. That's not fair. And then boom, Adam Silver, $500,000.
I think he got fined for something else, though.
I thought it was.
I don't think
that the penalties that you end up paying on your own draft picks, that sucks. And I think he got fined on that.
He got fined on that podcast, but I think Andre Iguodala mentioned something like the reason that they fined him was something to do with tampering It might have been kind of for that. Like if the cops don't like somebody, they might bust them for parking tickets if they can't get anything else.
About tampering.
So it might have been something like that. But
let me look it up in my emails. Let me look up the Joe Lacob fined. Golden State's Joe Lacob fined $50,000 for the wait. This was this was back
500. I think
this was 2021.
Yeah.
So he got fined for the Ben Simmons one, but that was a
right. Yeah.
Well, anyways.
Yeah.
So Lacob.
But the Draymond thing, I think you're right. I think I don't think he wants to leave, but I do think he'll at least say, look, max or not, this is what other teams are offering. And once you can bring that other team, like, this is their offer, what are you going to do about it? That's the point where I think,
but
I don't know. You can't really give up Draymond unless you want to piss Steph off. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I also think that if you're Draymond, you have to test how far can Lacob go. And I mean, all of this sounds like this is what you do in negotiations, but really a lot of people just don't talk about it so far, which is that Lacob is paying luxury taxes and penalties, but he's also dealing with the board of governors. So 29 other owners, he's got to go to the meeting. He already said in that interview that, man, I'm getting grilled by these guys. They're killing me. So I definitely cannot pay, 400 to 500,000, 400 to 500,000, 400 to 500.
Yeah, you wish.
In total salaries and taxes and penalties. We just can't
because it makes the other owners look bad, right?
It makes me look bad in front of the other owners.
But it also makes the other owners look bad because they're cheap.
It also, it makes the other owners look bad as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because think of it as a club. Think of it as all these venture capitalists get together and I'm putting this much in Series A in this company. One of the things that I got into during this break was Silicon Valley on HBO Max. What a great show, man. Awesome show. And it's to the T. And that happens a lot in all
Rich.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's some spammers on here.
Yeah, I thought I deleted them.
Oh, yeah, right. They're still showing up here. My bad.
Oh, really?
Sorry about that. It was pretty disrespect. Yeah, they're showing up on the StreamYard. They don't go away.
Oh, on the StreamYard, yeah.
But if you got them on YouTube, yeah.
Don't worry about StreamYard.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's one of the problems of StreamYard is it doesn't get rid of all those. But anyway, back to Lacob. So Lacob's got to deal with all these other things.
Yes.
But I do think it's worth Draymond's time to try and just extract as much, because when it comes down to it, from what Kawakami was saying, it was like the Warriors make $700 million. I think that was an actual number. You can go look it up on Twitter. $700 million. So I'm doing the math. I'm doing like $700 million minus, let's say it's $400 million. Guys, that's still, and the thing that Kawakami didn't understand was the EBITDA in finance parlance. EBITDA, that's the bottom line pretty much before depreciation, amortization, and taxes. Okay. But that's pretty much how much you're taking home. So
right.
$700
that's
million,
the profit rather than the revenue, right?
That's the income.
Yeah.
That's not the revenue. That's the part where the journalists don't understand. Like, they don't understand finance, because that's not what you do the best, Tim Kawakami. You're a writer. I don't expect you to understand finance. But EBITDA, that's what, that's what goes to the bank. That's not revenue. That's income. And so I take $700 million, and this is all part of it. But then, even if I take that whole gigantic $400 million luxury tax and salaries and penalties, we're still making $300 million now. is 300 million a good number to make when you're, I mean, is who's the owner? Dolan? Is Dolan over in New York? Does he scoff at that? You're only making 300 million, Joe? Come on, Joe. Maybe Joe.
We made the playoffs too.
But to me and to the layperson, to you, 300 million profit after all of Chase Center, everything that you do, and basketball salaries and basketball luxury tax and penalties, you're still making 300 million. Man, I'm sitting here, I'm Draymond. I'm going, you're still making 300 million. What is 34 million to you? Give me 34 million, right? So
yeah. Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Behooves Draymond
and
to extract as much money as he can from Lacob. But I understand that Lacob has a lot of pressures on him as well.
Sure,
but as
absolutely.
far as I know, Kawakami reported, as far as I know, Lacob can afford it. If you take out all the other factors, like the Board of Governors is going to frown on him, the NBA is going to frown on him, whatever. Yeah. Adam Silver will frown on him, and it will possibly drive up salaries too much. If you take all of that out, Lacob can afford it, man. He can afford to pay Wiggins and Poole and Draymond.
And I believe that's 700 million.
He got the money.
I think I kind of did that too. I looked at the average ticket price for a Warriors game and multiplied it by 41. I think that's only home. I think that's only home games for basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think that includes concerts or other things like that. Honestly, it might. I might be misremembering it. The other thing is,
Rollins.
If it's a competitive advantage, why care? There's nothing preventing us from keeping all these guys. I get the pressure and everything, but give me the banners, man. You don't get banners without getting a little attacked. People aren't just like people aren't just all sportsman-like,
But if I'm Lacob and I'm in the meeting with Draymond, I'm like, but man, Dre, do you know all the pressures I'm getting and all of this? So they'll come to a middle, okay, 32 million.
Yeah.
Whatever, right?
Yes, so I'm sure there's something like that. But what I would hate is to have to lose some of these players. Honestly, I just,
yeah.
You look at Wiggins. That dude now looks like kind of a bargain, a little bit for what we got, especially since we got JK sort of alongside of him. He really proved a lot about himself over the course of the playoffs. And, the fact that we can put him out there anywhere between probably the 2 and the 4, he can guard almost everybody who's not a large center. His rebounding, man, that we saw a number 1 pick. We got a number 1 pick, Andrew Wiggins, like second best player on the team throughout the finals, at least, and throughout most of the playoffs, to be honest with you. As much as I want to keep Jordan Poole, I also think Wiggins is kind of a dude who helps us, like, with his durability and everything too, and his lack of ego. I think a lot of guys who play that way, I would be worrying that, like, they're going to be like, oh well, give me 20 shots a game. Next season, I don't think Wiggins is going to have anything like that. So the idea that we would lose any of those core, you said Steve Kerr called them core 6, right? Core 6 players?
Foundational 6.
Foundational 6 players. That's right. Sorry. So the idea that we lose any of them without any official, like, there's no official thing saying that we can't pay them. And if they want to stay, I don't understand why anyone wouldn't want their team's owners to act in a way where they keep a good team together. If it doesn't work, that's different. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a shame, but it won't be this year. We got these guys together this year. So
and so Anthony brought up that was Lacob got fined after going on Andre's podcast. That is absolutely correct. So that's where I think. Well, we'll have to go back, but I'll have to go check it. But I thought it was because Lacob was complaining about having to pay so many penalties on his own draft picks and stuff. But I could be wrong. Whew. So
and it could be, as Rollins saying, just posturing. I'm in such big trouble. Everybody else kind of backs down, and then and then you pounce on them. That could be that too. I mean, these guys are businessmen. Yeah, that's a cutthroat spy-like mindset that you have to have. KGB, CIA, FBI type stuff. So who knows?
So you wanted to talk about? I know at one point you wanted to talk about. Oh, by the way, Rollins here, and Roland, just whatever you want to talk about, just comment. Anybody, whatever you want to talk about, let's just comment on it. But actually, why don't we do?
It's been like a month. We got plenty to talk about.
Let's do a giveaway.
All right.
Was the last time I copied and pasted Trey Dunn's comment about Lacob? So, where is this? We can talk about, actually, why don't I work on that, and then you talk about the roster, because we got a lot of young guys. So go ahead.
Oh, that's right. So obviously, let's just because I like doing this. It helps me kind of picture the team. Let's go point guard through center 3 times if we can. Our starting lineup is clearly Curry, Clay, Wiggins, Dre, and Looney. I mean, it's just what it's going to be, right? That means the back or the kind of the bench lineup, I think, is Poole, DiVincenzo, Moody, Kuminga, Wiseman. That's if Dante DiVincenzo might be the least proven player on that roster, in terms of ceiling, at least. That's an incredibly talented roster, and I think DiVincenzo is also the oldest at about 26 years old or so. So that's Poole and DiVincenzo in the backcourt is at least good size and length. DiVincenzo is quite a good rebounder. I think he was playing like 24, 28 minutes a game and getting like 5 rebounds as a shooting guard. So obviously, if he's doing that with Brook Lopez, Giannis, Chris Middleton around, we're very heavily reliant upon perimeter players also mixing it up and getting rebounds for us, because we like to play so small that the perimeter players kind of have to crash the boards. You don't have a dude like Giannis. Most Looney's like that, but you don't have a dude like Giannis most of the time coming. He's a good shooter, so that's a pretty solid, kind of double combo guard backcourt we have there. And then Moody, one of the best things about him is that he can play in the style of more of like a third guard, or he can be like a more small forward type player with his length and his strength and almost his ability to either use his back or his shoulder to kind of get into bigger players. And then I was rewatching a lot of Kuminga's dunks. That dude's ability to jump and attack the rim is like as smooth as Steph's jumper, right? Like, for instance, when Gary Payton or Andre Iguodala back in the day would throw it down, it was like this explosive like burst into the air, But Kuminga just seems to be able to just suddenly hover off the ground like Steph shooting a three, where it just looks effortless, you know? That makes me think that Kuminga at the 4, you know, being able to really attack the rim like that, or maybe as a small ball 5, if you want to put, let's say, JaMychal Green out there alongside of him, you know, that gives us an incredible amount of actual pressure on the rim that, alongside Wiggins, you know, is something we really never had, even with KD. Great as Kevin Durant was, he was not a slasher. He was not a hyper athletic, like, you know, super large, powerful kind of attack the rim kind of. He was more of a finesse player, which leaves us with James Wiseman, who, as I was saying before, you know, obviously you want to win a championship, you want to repeat, but that's too big of a goal to start October with, I think. You know, it's too outside of your control. So my thing is, let's as us, as analysts, as fans, as supporters of the team, even if I were on the team as a teammate, one of the biggest things was, for me, let's help James Wiseman figure out who he is and figure out how we can develop him into being, you know, a highly impactful player for this team. That's, you know, he could be anywhere from a traditional old school, you know, entry pass or alley-oop, you know, defensive rebounding big man, to a 7'1", 250-pound kind of perimeter wing scorer. We never, we really don't know. He has the ability to do all of it, but we don't know what will be best for him, what he's most comfortable with, things like that yet, because we hardly saw him play.
Yeah.
You know,
just be a bigger loony. That's all you need to do.
Right. If that's what works best for him, that'd be great for us.
Yeah.
But we don't know if maybe it's better. Yeah. You know, we don't know, though, if it's maybe better to get him going offensively, and then once he feels more involved, once he feels kind of fed a little bit, maybe then the defense really starts to pick up, right? Because he was averaging like 5 rebounds a game in his first year, which isn't too bad, but 7'1" with that kind of length and vertical, you know, you want him to average a little bit more than 5 rebounds a game. So we need to figure out how to integrate him into this team. That's the biggest part for me at the first half of the season, is going to be, how do we get Wiseman involved? Now, I don't really have the answers yet, but he's got talent through the roof. To quote MJ, you know, the ceiling is the roof. I think that's what he said.
Wow, was that MJ?
At UNC? Yeah. Yep. So I don't know what is going to happen with Wiseman, but that's the immediate first major goal that I would have. And then some of the younger guys, you know, let's say we bring on Iguodala back. I think that we might have a roster, that kind of final roster of kind of the older dudes and the real young guys. Personally, I would like to play Rollins at the 1. I watched some tape of his. I really liked what I saw in almost every aspect of the game, other than being able to finish with contact at the rim. He struggled with that in college, and that's something that is even harder in the NBA. Even with spacing and everything, his handle was fine. It was just finishing the ball around the rim, because he's not an explosive athlete either, and he's kind of svelte, or like, he's strong, but he's not huge, right? I think because of that, if you play him at the point guard, you take away a little bit of that pressure of actually having to finish at the rim. And as long as you can get into the paint, you're going to probably open up either you know, a kick back to the top of the key, or a corner shot, or dump off, or an alley-oop, or something like that. So if he can get that foot healed, he had a fracture or a stress fracture or something, I think, in his foot.
Yeah.
I think it was the left foot.
Mm-hmm.
If he can get that foot healed and, get used to being a point guard, once he's comfortable with that, and once he gets a little bit more, NBA weight and strength and old man strength and things like that, I think then you can play him a little bit more as a combo guard. Then I would play Iguodala. I'd put Iguodala at that 2 spot.
Rollins? You saw Rollins play?
I looked at how they have, it's sort of like highlights, but it's like every possession. I think they're called smart highlights, where you see turnovers and also just rebounds, and there's not something else that happens with it or whatever. I liked everything that I saw except his finishing around. So to me, I would try and play him as kind of a tall, that Sean Livingston type tall point guard style. Not necessarily the same shots as Livingston, but just a taller point guard. Then you have Iguodala. Everybody knows that when Iguodala is healthy, what he can do for the team. And that's, I personally, I'd be happy to take a shot at Gui Santos. I really liked his style of play. I just, there was something about the way he moved on the court that had that kind of international, like high IQ, fundamental type, like read the game well. It might be way too early for him. He was the second round pick, I believe. But he seemed to have good size and good just feel for the game. So I was intrigued by him. I wouldn't mind having him. Maybe Matt McClung.
So we'll talk about McClung real quick, real soon after this. But with Guy, he posted an Instagram story from San Francisco. Like, I don't think you would. I mean, why would you post the location of the Bay Bridge if you're not there? Like, so I tend to think that he was here, but why would you? And he was in Sao Paulo right before that because he had to do a thing for the NBA store down there. So why would you fly all the way here if you're not gonna? I mean, is he just working out with the team or what's going on? Like, so I thought that was a signal that he would be signed to a training camp deal, but that hasn't happened yet.
I think we have to give him a shot at training camp at least, right?
Yeah, there's only like 2 spots left, right? Like Iguodala and somebody else.
You can have. Well, I don't think you need to sign Iguodala for training camp, and you can have, I think, 20 players on the team,
right,
for a training camp invite. So, that they might they might be waiting to re-sign Iguodala, since I think if he was going to retire, actually, he probably would have just announced it already. Maybe they're waiting to re-sign Iguodala so they can have more spots open, and then just sign him after they've got after they've seen whatever they want to see from training camp. Maybe then you sign Iguodala after that, if you get what I mean. So you can invite more people,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Well, anyways, there's at least 2 spots open right now, right?
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. Sorry, didn't do the homework for that yet. We got to figure that out by training camp. But
so it's Rollins. There's the 10 that I listed: Rollins, Baldwin, and JaMychal Green are definitely on the team. So that's 13 players. And then I think we have our two ways, right?
Yeah. Let me look at our Discord because it has all of them listed.
I'll check out the comments.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 is McClung. Quindary is 15. Quinones is 16. Trevion Williams is 17. Who else did I miss?
You said Weatherspoon, right? Oh, yeah. You said Quindary.
Trevion Williams is 17, so Andre would be 18, and that's why I think there's 2 left. So without Andre, there's 3 spots left for training camp.
Right.
Okay, so that's why I'm thinking, what's taking so long to announce or sign Gui Santos? That doesn't make sense to me. And I could have sworn he was in San Francisco, but that was last week. So with Gui, it could be that he's just here to work out with the team. We don't know.
I really think we should at least give him a shot though in training camp.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
I believe that's how Marquise Chris made the team. Was that he showed out in training camp and showed that he was a good shot blocker, rebounder, and passer.
What about his Brazil contract? We don't know anything about that though. It could be
well, I think a lot of these international leagues do have
outs.
Yeah, for NBA contracts, yeah, because it would benefit them if you got a product of yours into the NBA, kind of no matter what team it's from.
That's true.
Just because it shows that like you're growing as a place where people can come and make the NBA. So it might not be that way everywhere, but I don't know. I don't think the international teams are punishing players for getting NBA offers. Like, no, you have to stay in South Korea. Oh, but I could go to the Warriors. Like, I don't know. Maybe they will, but I think we can sign him if we wanted to. But maybe McClung, because of that reason, is the guy that they're going to go with, and you put him more as a point guard and move the other two up a slot. Man, JaMychal Green is a solid player, in my opinion. I've always thought that he was really reliable. Obviously, kind of DiVincenzo and Green are GP2 and Otto Porter replacements somewhat, but we really needed at least one more vet who isn't a starter I think, just to help on the bench. And I mean, forget the core. He's going to be a perfect fit for us because he shoots and he's unselfish and he moves. But on the bench, man, you need, for a team with so much unproven young talent, you need to have guys just able to stick with them. Like there are a bunch of guys. There are a bunch of guys on this team who generally wouldn't be able to rent cars because they're under 25 years old, right? They're going to need a little life advice.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. We need to come up with a nickname for that. But yeah, yep. The NBA is getting so young. Did you?
It is really, man.
150 mark or so. You talked about JaMychal. Did you talk about?
Oh, and Baldwin Jr. is the last guy. Baldwin, Patrick Baldwin, PB and J.
Roland want to talk about McClung.
Right. I love McClung's. He just had he had kind of a, I don't know if it was a confidence or maybe he just had some mojo or something. I don't know, but he really brought that intense. Yeah, and that's that can be very beneficial.
To me, he's like Steph without the threes. He's very creative.
Yeah, I could see that. Just the really like crafty like use of angles to get around bigger players and things like that. We haven't generally had another point guard on the team throughout a lot of the playoff runs, or like a pure like little guy point guard. And there was Chioza, I guess, and Brad Wanamaker a little bit the year before that, but
we haven't really found success with that. So I thought they were with Ryan Rollins. I thought they were going more the Sean Livingston backup type, right? And then McClung played so well that they couldn't let him go. So why don't we just give you a chance? And now I'm starting to think, the more I think about it, like right when the speculation of the 2020 draft, which was Wiseman's draft class with with LaMelo in there, I was thinking LaMelo would be, even though he and his dad probably wanted him to start, it would be an intriguing, LaMelo off the bench for Steph. The creativity is still there. So now we've got, fast forward now to McClung, and now we have another creativity type guy. I just think it's intriguing. Let's see what happens. I think that's their approach. So I'm not as speculating as much as like, I don't know. Well, let's just see what happens, right? I don't want to. Somebody in the comments took my previous conclusions about McClung as, why do you think he won't be a Warrior and things like that? It was just that, because we got Ryan Rollins and it looks like we're going that direction, but I don't really know. I mean, who knows? Let's just trust Bob. Let's see what happens. But I will say that McClung, he recently, I got to put this on the channel. He recently went live on Instagram, and he's got this trainer that he found from the NBA draft combine, and they were just talking about stuff, and just I don't know. McClung seems like a really like a nice dude. Like he was being very generous with his time to the fans. At one point, they were like, "Oh, what other fans should we bring on board?" And they would actually like have them join the live and everything. And I think Mac is one of those guys I think is very grounded and of the people type kids.
Yeah.
He doesn't really, he seems a lot older than his actual age. How old is he? Anyways, let's see.
Oh, I don't even know. I think
Mac McClung.
I think he might be like 23 or something like that.
Let's look it up here. Share. How do we do this? This share screen and Wikipedia. Oh, where is it? Age 23, January 6th, 1999. So, yeah.
This kid was born in 99?
I know. Isn't
it crazy? My God. I'm only 26, man. I feel so old compared to the NBA. God.
Oops. Here we go.
He doesn't remember the millennium, man.
He feels
That's crazy.
He feels like he's older than 23. Kind of like Moody.
Oh, yeah.
These guys are like they're getting so young and so polished by now.
They're so mature at such a young age. It's crazy. Yeah.
Am I going to stream the Warriors Japan games? Oh, I mean, we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's see. Anything else about the roster? You were saying after Mac, you were going.
Oh, well, the final guy is Patrick Baldwin Jr.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a real mystery.
6'10", baby.
Yeah.
Wow. 6'10" shooter. Love it.
Well, that's the theory. And obviously you hope he gets there. But I guess the thing that worried me a little bit let's not start off with something that worried me. The thing that I love is what you just said, is that not just he takes those shots, but it looks natural and fluid, replicable. Just it looks good when he shoots the ball. His percentage wasn't that high. That's not really what I'm concerned about. He'll be able to shoot. What bothers me a little bit is the foot speed.
Oh, okay.
When you have a dude who's had ankle injuries, who's already not the quickest, if they're not able to move enough to be able to keep in front of some perimeter players, and they might not be built to really bang in the low post, that makes me worry a little bit about the defensive side. So,
okay.
If I'm thinking, okay, well that's what you call it? That's something that you need to game plan around a little bit, right? For the Warriors, the counterbalance is how do we use that to our advantage? And I think the thing that I'm going to be looking for from Patrick Baldwin Jr. is what is his playmaking ability like in that case? Because I think if he can make up for it not just being a scorer but really making the right reads, you can use not only that to be more effective offensively, but if he shows that, then I think I'll trust that he can use his intellect and timing and angles on defense to make up for that kind of mix between not being super huge and athletic to be able to guard the biggest and not having the most. And now he was hurt too, so that could be playing a huge role into it. But I think I'd love to see his playmaking on offense and defense really pick up. So
all right,
yeah, want to see that basketball IQ grow and he's on the right team to do it. So
right.
Bob picked him for a reason, though, man.
Yeah, and then there's also Trevion Williams in the training camp. So he's got some really.
I don't know that much about him.
I don't either, but he even in the summer league in Philly, the Rumpf Classic, there was we'll put that on the channel by the end of the summer. There was a no-look pass, and he just loves passing the ball, which is kind of unique. So looking forward to that.
He's a center who loves passing, huh?
Yeah, crazy.
I like that. I like that a lot. It's always good to have.
Am I going to stream the Japan games? I mean, we're going to do live streams. Yeah. I don't know that they should be televised, right? Do we know anything about that? I mean, I'll just get NBA TV if we need to, but I'm going to watch it. That's for sure. And we'll be on here
Absolutely.
Sure for that. If it's super limited, then I might, create a Twitch channel to throw that on, but we'll see. But speaking of which, next week, don't forget. Well, first of all, next week, back to McClung. He's playing on Team USA, of all things. He's playing on Team USA for the Americas qualifier. The day after that, so next Thursday, and then next Friday, Kuminga's going to play with the DRC. So we'll be right back here for those games. But in the meantime, I would like to do the drawing. And these are, I hope some people are still here from back then. Maybe they aren't. But if I do a lot of our guys have already won. So I'm going to go to the post office tomorrow and mail off some stuff. Oh, gosh. Let's do it again. So are you guys seeing this? Okay, cool. Yay. JNL still here. I missed this chat room. I'm sure that was Amy, wasn't it? I'll bet you that was Amy.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's do a find. That was Amy. You would have won. She's won already. I like this one, even though it's not Warriors. I feel like Luka gives his teammates a lot of confidence. Let's see if I can try to find one more. If not, then that one. Oh, let's see. Andrew Harrison was mentioned in the chat. What do we know about Andrew Harrison? I hear that name pop up every now and then. Let's see.
I've never heard him before.
You know what? I'm going to go out of the box today. It's kind of harder to come up with a winning positive comment because there's no game going on right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm just, that is Nico Mannion. But it's kind of cool you brought up Nico Mannion. We'll talk about him as well. But I'm just going to give the winner to JNL, because he's still here. He was here from the beginning. So let's just go at
yes, sir.
JNL. Hard to do an at for you. So can you please email me at rich@letsgowarriors.com and include the word giveaway. So you're a winner, JNL, because you're still here. The whole 2 hours, man, I think. Let's see. Let's guesstimate how long he's been on, or she has been on. Find that. Since Bruce was on, since we were talking about Kawhi and PG. Wow. Yep, you've been on the whole time. Cool. So you're the winner. So be sure to email me. Nico Mannion, you know what's crazy is Nico Mannion hit us up. He hit us up, Let's Go Warriors. And
nice.
He's been trying to, well, it was just, marketing. He is behind this new, like, I don't even know what it is, Hooperverse. So go look that up. Instagram Hooperverse. And so Hooperverse. Nico Mannion is behind Hooperverse. Boom. There you go. So it's good to see all you guys. Ryan B, I got your email, Ryan, so I'll get back to you by tonight. What else we got? So Nico is playing for Italy right now. That kid is becoming such a big name in Italy. And you know who just signed in Italy? Come to think of it, all these little tidbits from yours truly. Let's see, what mark are we at? 206. So we did the 202 mark was the giveaway. And 206, we're talking about Nico Mannion and Kai Bowman playing in Italy.
Oh,
Kai Bowman
I love Kai Bowman, man.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll play.
He was so much fun.
I have to look that up, but man, if Nico plays against Kai Bowman, I would love to see that matchup. Wouldn't you? I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah,
no doubt. Give one of them Jordan Bell, the other Justinian Jessup. Let them go at one another.
Yeah. So
yeah. Oh, there's something I would like to bring up, Rich, that's been bothering me for about a month.
What's that?
I really, really, really don't like the fact that the NBA just took out 2 draft picks because the Bucks and the Heat were tampering. I think they shouldn't have those picks. Those teams shouldn't. But there's only 60 draft picks to begin with. And the 2 young men who weren't involved with that at all, they just two young basketball players went undrafted when there wasn't a need for it. That really made me mad. I don't just give it to some other team randomly, if there's some way to do that. But I don't like just erasing them.
It was low in the draft, at least. I mean,
that's almost worse though, man. Because it's even harder. Like, if you get drafted, maybe you have that one little bit at the 58-60 pick or whatever. You have that one little edge over going undrafted.
Doesn't mean you're going to get signed, though. And in some cases, it turns out okay. You become a free agent and it turns out okay sometimes.
That's true, but it's still just way harder to make it to the NBA being undrafted than even being the 60th pick. And the punishment is mostly on those young basketball players and not nearly as much on the team, right? They lost 2 lower-ranked second-round picks, but those 2 young guys lost a chance to be drafted into the NBA. I
don't know. I just don't know that down there, certainly with the guaranteed contracts in the first round, Yeah, that would never happen. But second round, late, 50-ish. Like how many of those guys actually, end up signing a contract? A lot of it's, it's sometimes better to be a
What if
free
it was
agent.
Jokic though, and he decided to do something else? Didn't get drafted.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, but I don't know.
So I
don't
just
know
don't like
that.
punishing those young guys for that. I
See,
really don't like
don't
that.
know that. I don't know that you can count that as punishing them. I'm just not sure.
But they're not getting drafted though, for something that they didn't do.
Sometimes that's okay.
There's two less people. But what if every team does it and there's no second round draft picks at all?
Then
you just cut 30 people out of the draft. I don't know. I felt like that could have been handled a little differently.
I think if you're meant to be found, you'll be found. I saw that with Jeremy Lin. I was upset he wasn't drafted at all. But it turned out that him not being drafted, allowed him to be more free to go look around. But I don't know because I haven't really gone through that process myself. Don't really know too much about that. But yeah, next time I talk to my NBA insider guy, I'll ask him. I'll ask him if if that punishes two players that should have been drafted somewhere or not. I'm not sure.
Having gone undrafted myself, I would have taken the 60th pick.
Right. But it doesn't guarantee you anything except. I mean, it doesn't even guarantee you a training camp invite. I mean, it maybe guarantees you a summer league contract. So yeah, maybe there's that. But then, what is this guy doing?
Really?
I know, right?
That's very wrong of you to say.
There's some sick people out there. Okay. I think we need to. Cool. Roland got to that person. All right. So Bay Area. I want
to go get him, Roland.
Reply to Bay Area here. If I can. Can't scroll up anymore. Huh. Let me refresh. Bay Area was saying because of the tax will be the first one gone. Yeah, so kind of talked about that. We talked about that. We talked about that kind of at the 112 mark. Or
if we were to pick one, though, if we had to pick one, I'm not sure we picked. I'm going with Wiggins. I hate saying that. I love Wiggins. But again, Draymond's not just irreplaceable for the Warriors, but you also I just don't ever want to break up the trio. I want Steph, Clay, and Dre to play every year together until they all retire at the same time. And Poole can run the offense. Wiggins, as great as he is, you're hoping to eventually replace with probably Kuminga, if anything, hopefully. Maybe Moody. So I don't know. That's really tough if you have to lose one. But as important as Wiggins is, and even despite the fact that he was, again, the second best player on the team throughout the playoff, throughout the playoffs, at least, I really don't want to lose Dre, and Poole keeps that Kerr system going. I know people saying, "Oh, well, Kerr will adjust," but Phil Jackson didn't adjust, dude. He kept going with the triangle. It changed a little bit, but he wasn't like, "Oh, you know what? The triangle doesn't work in 2013 anymore. We'll just completely get rid of it." You needed someone to run the triangle. We're going to need someone to run the motion point guard offense. So hopefully none of them, but that's what I would pick. which is crazy, but
yeah,
I have to go with what I feel.
Yeah, so I'm not picking anybody because that's where we get back into this, the whole.
Because Rich is smart and he doesn't say stupid things on YouTube all the time like me.
That's where we get into the, we have to create controversy to make content part of, ESPN or whatever it may be. That's got to create content out of thin air. So if there is no content, then I don't really have anything. But that's fine by me. So anyway, anything else to talk about, folks? Because we've been on over 2 hours, and I think we covered everything. Friendly reminder, we've got McClung next Thursday. I should put that in the description. Darn it.
That's a live one, right?
And then we have, or 825 FIBA Americas. McClung. Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, Poole, Wiseman, Kuminga, and Moody, if they all develop correctly, I think they can win a championship for sure. I mean, it'll take them years to be those players without Steph, Clay, Dre, Looney, but there's no reason based on their personality, their talent, their work ethic that I've seen, and the depth. Like if you have only one of those dudes, it makes it harder for them to stay together. But since you have kind of a cohort almost of those players coming up, all of whom already have a championship, by the way, when you're able, like I think personally, if Kawhi had some other really good young player alongside of him in San Antonio, it would have made leaving way, way, way more difficult for him because they made the Western Conference Finals the year after Duncan retired, but the question is more so not can we, but as dumb as this sounds, but will we? And the difference is between the talent and the potential and like those dudes making it work, the Warriors making it work with them, the fans embracing them or not. All these different factors go into actually getting it done. But in terms of a young talented core, it's right up there with any of the young teams around. I mean, we looked at OKC. I'm not convinced that they have that much more young talent on the team right now. Now they have a lot more draft picks, so they'll add more. But right now, I'm not sure they have much more high level, high end, young talent on their team than those guys. And Looney, Wiggins, and DiVincenzo, they're all under 27. So I don't know. I think it's at least a team that if it reaches its potential will be able to contend. Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, Rich?
Well, I mean, what else are you going to do? The other choice was to trade all the young guys for KD, right? And then have no future young core. So I think we're good.
Absolutely.
And we talked about all of that long time ago in our live stream here today. So check the timestamp after we're done, and then you can go to it. The live stream itself, when it's playing on YouTube right now live, it's hard to maneuver. But once we're done, then you can go in the description and click on the timestamps because I've got different timestamps. Mm-hmm. So anyways, we actually also talked about KD way earlier during the Nets 29-minute mark. So I think we've covered everything. So it's great that I think we're the only ones that just keep talking and talking. Who cares?
Hey man, spend your evening with us talking about the Dubs.
Yeah. So I'm good, and I'm glad everybody was able to log on at some point on here. Thanks for coming. I'm gonna go get some dinner now. Go get my Starbucks if RJ is still on the live stream. I'm gonna catch up and get my injection of matcha green tea frappuccino. I'm addicted to that.
Nice.
And we'll see you all Thursday, right?
Sounds great.
Buddy.
What 6:00 as well?
Oh, I don't even know the game time. Let's look it up. So we go to let's go to FIBA. FIBA.com. Hey, Mac McClung. Hey.
There's my guy.
What's up, Mac?
Meant to be.
Mac. Do I just click on that then? I'm just gonna click on you, bro. Where is the game's gonna be in Las Vegas. I think honestly, I've been to the FIBA site before. The best way is just go to Team USA right here. Not qualified yet. All right, there we go. 6:00. You're right.
Uruguay. Yep.
All right.
All right, man.
So we'll see you then. And then they have a couple more games, but we're definitely going to do Kuminga playing for the Congo.
Mm-hmm.
So
and let me know if you'd like me on that as well, Rich. I'd be happy to clear my schedule. Yes, sir.
So we'll see you then.
All right.
All right, guys. See everybody. Oh, my favorite number, 22. So we're gonna stay for 30 more seconds to go on 2 hours.
22 worked out well last year, man.
It did it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this year. So yeah, I'm gonna ramble for 15 more seconds, and then we're gonna say goodbye.
Stop saying that word in the comments. It's not funny.
Wow, did someone get him?
Oh yeah, they got him. I can't believe people really don't know saying that. What the hell's wrong with you?
All right, so we're gonna leave now. 2:22 mark. Thanks, guys. See you Thursday. Take care. Thank you.
1, 2, 3, just us.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, just us.